Hi, it's James Harrison. It's time for Tip Tuesday. We're going to get into a series on Tip Tuesday where we're talking about drum gear for a while. And what we're going to start with is I'm just going to give you an opening statement that we're going to start with tips, literal tips of drumsticks and what they produce sound wise. Now, there's general characteristics for each style of tip. You have an acorn, you have a barrel, you have a keg, you have a round or a ball, you have a teardrop, you have an oval, and there's variations in each of those. And there's general characteristics for each one, but at the same time, even though there's general things, if you were to just play them on a tabletop, you would hear differences in the way that the sound projects based on the tip. But drum heads, types of cymbals, all muffling, everything affects that as to what it can slightly change what that tip is designed to help do. So we'll get into them in general. But the one thing I do want to say about any tip is that one thing you have to consider is the angle of the tip on the surface that you're hitting, because that can totally change the sound that the tip might be designed for. And what I mean by that is if you take the surface area of an oval, for instance, and you're playing I'm gonna grab I don't have an oval right here, but I'm gonna grab this drumstick. This is a Vader Fusion. It's a round tip, but if this is a top of a head and you're playing relatively flat, there's a lot of surface area. Now, an oval would be a little bit longer surface area contacting that, but the minute you tilt that surface and you play, unless you're going to keep that angle, you've changed the amount of surface contact. And it doesn't matter if you take an acorn and do that, you're just getting the tip or upper part of that acorn versus the body of the tip. Most of the rock stuff that I do, I prefer a round tip, so that regardless of the angle, not saying it's always going to be perfect, but I set my drums up to know that when I hit the stroke, that the head is going to be at a angle that is conducive to my stroke, that's going to get the best sound out there. My favorite tip is a round tip on drumsticks. So, and then we'll get into the different ones along the way. But anyway, I just want you to think about the fact that each little thing that you do can change what the general characteristic of that drumstick or that tip is designed to do. If you play a flat cymbal and it's, let's say, just to the right of your bass drum and your hand is coming off on it and it's relatively flat, that's going to be different than one that might be at an extreme angle and you're coming into it a certain way. You're changing the angle again. So you have to think about what's going to be, obviously set your setup to be where you're comfortable with it ergonomically. And you can reach everything easily. And then try a variety of drumsticks and see what gives you the best sound. Like I said, now every company has videos out that a lot of them they're hitting surfaces, they're hitting cymbals, and there's sound waves and stuff like that you can check to see what's there. But I obviously recommend, if you have the ability to go to a music store and you don't even have to hit a drum, just hit a surface and then start to think about the angles that you play at, and then buy a stick that's going to give you the surface contact that you're looking for. That's the first tip. And then we'll get into we'll break down different sticks along the way and talk about what their characteristics are. So there's your first Tip Tuesday on drumstick tips.